guys, and welcome back to the channel. Today I'm going to be going over the many mistakes that I made when I first started owning ferrets. And I already have a video titled Top 10 Mistakes New Ferret Owners Make or whatever, but this one is going to be completely specific to the mistakes that I had made. Everyone makes mistakes. I have never once claimed to be an expert on ferrets or an expert pet owner at all in general. I have made plenty of mistakes at the start, and I'm going to go over them with you so that hopefully you can avoid making these mistakes. But do know that you're probably going to make some of your own mistakes, and that's totally fine, as long as obviously you don't hurt your animals. Alright, let's just jump right into it. If you're not already following my Instagrams, go ahead. I have one for the ferrets and just raw feeding in general, and I have one dedicated to, again, my puppy, so go follow those if you wish. So the first mistake that I had made just starting out initially was thinking that getting a ferret from a local small pet store would be better than a large chain pet store. And I was wrong. I had heard all the horror stories about people getting ferrets from big chain pet stores, you know the ones, and just, you know, getting super sick ferrets that were not well socialized. I had thought in my head that maybe a smaller pet store, small chain would be better or different. Heck, I didn't even know that they had also supplied their ferrets from Marshalls. As you guys know, Patsu came to me with a pretty serious intestinal parasite and ear mites, and that was the Giardia specifically was very expensive to treat because I believe it took 2 rounds of antibiotics to actually flush it out of his system, and it caused him a lot of GI upset and distress, and of course 2 rounds of antibiotics is going to do the same, upset his GI tract, and we have to work to rebuild all that gut bacteria that was killed, and it was a lot. He also obviously was way too little, way too young to be taken from mom. He was really nippy, not in the best shape when I had gotten him. So I had thought that a small pet store would be different, and it's not. A lot of pet stores that get their ferrets from the same place are gonna be the same thing. I've seen bad conditions in both small pet stores and big pet stores. Moving on to number 2 would be not doing my own personal research on things like housing, diet, exercise. And I can't really fault myself too hard on this one because I just kind of went along with, you know, the best ferret food. You know, if you Google that, you're gonna get some conflicting results. The best ferret cage, how long do ferrets need to be out of their cage? I based everything pretty much on the first 3 searches on Google for each question that I had. Now I know not to do that. So I find the best thing to do would be to just like search around in the community, look for someone that you look up to or you kind of resonate with what they're putting out there, and follow what they say, look at the sources that they use, and go from there. Number 3 is a very specific one, but I made a big mistake. Shortly after getting Patsu, I wanted to upgrade his cage, and I didn't really want to get a Ferret Nation. I don't remember why. I think I wanted one that looked a little bit nicer, that just was more unique. I like doing things from scratch. So I decided to go out and make a CNC cage, which if you don't know what CNC is, it's a lot of DIY guinea pig cages are made out of it. So I thought, you know, why not, you know, make this really nice elaborate. I also saw some examples online of people who did it for their ferrets, and I really liked it. So I went out and I bought a crap ton of it, and I still have it. I don't know what to do with it. And I put together this cage. It doesn't look all that bad. There was a lot of floor space, a lot of climbing space. It was a really fun cage. However, it was awful. It was so bad trying to maneuver in the cage, trying to like clean. The parts would always pop off, the whole cage would fall apart, like it was just not safe. Patsu could also squeeze through the tiny square holes in there, so it wasn't even functional. Number 4, initially listening to the internet and using things like scruffing and other forms of punishment to train my ferret, whether it be for, you know, potty training and bite training. I learned fairly quickly that positive punishment methods of training ferrets just was not working for me. So once I switched over to positive reinforcement, everything was so much easier. Patsu was then litter trained, he was bite trained very, very quickly. I think within 2 weeks he was finished with his training reason for that. Number 5 is not offering enough free roam space. So I had Patsu always, I never caged my ferrets technically, so I had Patsu to my room and he was allowed to free roam in my room all hours of the day. Now that was not enough room. Quickly he started trying to escape out of the room. He did escape a couple times by sliding under the door, so I had to get like a door stopper thing. Since then, and like moving into apartments and giving them full home access, I learned that they need a lot more than that. Number 6, using tiny litter boxes, which you can probably see in some of my older videos. I had used those tiny colorful corner litter boxes and they're just way too small for ferret use. I mean, just watching them try to use it is painful. Like they just kind of scrunch their little bodies in it and it's not great. It's not really setting them up for success in their litter training. You're going to want to give them something that's more natural for them. So that was also a waste of money and waste of time, scrubbing those things all the time. So the next one I'm sure many of you can probably relate with, especially if you had ferrets for a while, and that is wasting money on expensive hammocks and treats from the pet store. I am so guilty of doing this, just going to any pet store and just buying every product on like the ferret shelf, all the hammocks, all the toys. And if you like actually compare pricing from like pet store hammocks to things like on Etsy, there's a big difference in quality and price. I mean, the stuff at the pet store is so overpriced, very, very cheaply made. And honestly, they don't even look the best either. It was a waste of my money, especially with toys. I wasted so much money on different toys thinking that they would like something and they didn't like anything. They preferred their $2 long cat wand toy that I got at the grocery store. So now that I know that, I very rarely buy them toys. And that was kind of number 7 and number 8, wasting money on toys, treats, and hammocks. I would also buy the ferret treats, which are obviously not super healthy for them. Number 9, not getting Patsu a sibling immediately. This was a big mistake of mine. I didn't realize, he's running around, I didn't realize that Patsu was depressed shortly after I had gotten him. I was providing him with a lot of one-on-one attention, but unfortunately, it just wasn't enough for him. He really craved other, same species interaction, which is totally understandable. He doesn't speak my language and I don't speak his. So when I got him Howl, he was just like a totally different ferret. He was happier, he was playing with toys again, he was cheerful and eating well, and he just really, really blossomed once Howl came into the picture. Number 10 is a very, very big one for me, and something that I am still working on, and that is assuming that because a vet is telling me something, they're always correct. Basically not following my gut with my ferrets. And this one's kind of a hard one for me to talk about because I think a lot about Howl and, his whole thing, the back and forth. He has cancer, he doesn't have cancer, congratulations. Now he has cancer, just like the constant back and forth with the vet was just like, I often think about if I had just followed my gut and just pushed and pushed and pushed for them to do more tests and push them to do the surgery, etc. If I had done those things, we would have been able to get him the medication quicker, just I think of all these different scenarios. And I learned a lot from that situation, and now I trust my gut. I'm very honest with my vet. If I don't feel comfortable doing something or if I don't want to do something, I'm very open and honest. And I had always trusted them because obviously they are licensed professionals and I am not. So it just, I don't know, it made sense. But since then, I have seen so many different vets, integrative vet, normal conventional vets that I've liked. Just been there, done that, and a lot of them have different things to say from each other. So number 11, trusting ferrets too much that they won't get into something. There are so many instances where I left something out, not something dangerous, but just left something somewhere thinking, they might get into this, maybe they won't, and then they always do. They almost always do. And that has gotten them in some interesting situations. Howl has somehow ended up on top of the counters. Momo just under the sink, like I don't know, they're very mischievous. They'll notice anything out of place that I've left. A closet door was left open that's never left open, like they'll know immediately. Kind of goes along with number 12, which is thinking there's no way my ferret will fit in there. And that mostly goes with Reva, because Reva is my tiniest ferret. She's like barely a pound. So she fits in the tiniest little cracks and crevices. And lastly, I'm sure many raw feeders out there can relate with, is forgetting to thaw their food pretty much every single day. Not every day, but pretty frequently I forget to thaw in time, because you don't want to feed your ferrets like rock solid frozen food. That's a big one of mine, is remembering every day to pull out the meal for the following day. Anyway, thank you guys so much for watching, and try not to make the same mistakes that I did, because some of them are pretty stupid. Mistakes are totally normal, and especially in an animal that you had never had previously. I will see you guys in my next video. Have a great rest of your day. Bye guys.